What's up guys, Winston here, and if you're new to this channel, please subscribe if you find my content interesting. Just like I talk about quite a wide variety and range of things. But today, if my title did a good job of conveying what I was going to talk about, I am going to talk about the new Apple devices. Now, I don't need to say a lot about these devices. They've been out for a while now. I mean, the XS and the XS Max have been on the market for about 2-3 weeks now. Yeah, so I mean, you know a lot about it. Those who know. And I'm not going to talk about specs or anything. I'm just going to talk. It's not much of a rant, but as usual, when there's always a new iPhone, there's a lot of interesting conversation about the necessity of the device and whether it's worth the price or if it's crazy or if it's good. Like, there's a lot of back and forth from both sides, and I'm just here to talk about, because this year's phone has been exceptionally more increased because of the reveal of the iPhone XR, which is basically a budget XS. And yeah, with the $750 price tag and the specs attached to it, some people feel like it's a ripoff. So I've wanted to talk about all these things for a while now, but certain things happened and I wasn't able to talk about it. And during a period where I was ruminating about talking about it, I realized that I wasn't objective about Apple devices because I'm an Android fan. I am a Samsung Galaxy user. I love Samsung products. So, but the disparity between Samsung and Apple is quite vast, as vast as what the Android iOS thing factor and everything. But I realized that I was not objective, because when the devices were announced, I was furious. I mean, I was furious because of some other factors, and yeah, those factors also fueled this fury. But I was upset. I was like, this is too much money for too little. This isn't good value for your money. And I've been online, I've been looking at so many YouTube videos, Unbox Therapy among others have talked about it, and they seem like the consensus seems to be that the XR is a very expensive phone. And I agreed with them initially, but now I don't disagree with them. I still agree with them. But watching the videos on the other side, like front page tech's video was interesting. It was a bit odd for me. I've seen it, but I think 911 Tech, I've forgotten the names. I'll put them in a link I'll put a link in the description. And I see these videos, and not only those videos, but talking to so many of my Apple user friends, like the iPhone user friends, because I do use Apple products. I do use a MacBook to do my, I mean, I have used a MacBook for a while. I use the iMac to do my editing. And so I'm comfortable with the Apple ecosystem a bit, except their handheld devices. But all these people have said all these things, and now I needed objectivity. So I spent some time talking to some of the Apple fans that I know, scoring the internet, and then here I am, and I hope I'm going to provide you with objectivity by talking about this. Now, first off, if you take the iPhone XR into context, if you take the cost and the features being provided by the iPhone XR into the entire scope of the smartphone world in totality, it's a ripoff. It's a very, very sad ripoff. It's terrible. I'm not gonna lie. It's not good. It's not great, because when you have devices like the Pocophone, you have very cheap devices that provide you with premium level quality, and that's when you talk about bang for buck, because these devices give you so much for so little. And so if you take the XR in that scope, it's not a great device. It doesn't cut it. But that's where we are wrong. And we are not wrong because it's wrong for us to think that way. We're only wrong because of the comparison we make. And the funny thing is that in order to make a comparison, or in order to find a standard for something, you normally have to compare with something you know or something you're comfortable with. So the baseline thing to compare any iPhone or any new iPhone to is with the other devices you use if you're an Android user on the market. And Android comes with a slew of devices at varying prices, but Apple phones do not. So we are wrong to make that comparison, because this is what I realized. Those who are going to buy it are going to buy it. regardless of what you say, regardless of what's going to happen, those who are going to purchase these devices are going to purchase it. Now, there are varying reasons why people purchase devices. These reasons, there are a lot of reasons why people purchase devices. But after thinking about it, I realized that what I think, that's what I'm saying, what I think is the foremost reason why people buy devices is this: consumer trust. And I say it's the foremost reason because it's the reason we don't really think about. It is the subconscious certainty that is in our minds. It's the subconscious bias that veers us towards specific devices. If I see a new Samsung device, I take it into context and I'm interested in it because that is subconsciously who I'm loyal to. And that's how deep it is, because it's ingrained. That's what causes all this argument online about which is better, iOS or Android. It's just because of consumer trust. We trust certain brands, so we are naturally biased or disposed to think those brands are okay. So when you take the 10R into perspective, people will buy it. A lot of people, even Apple believes it's going to get a lot of sales. That's why they've increased production for it to be about 50% of their total production. They believe people are going to buy it because they've done their market analysis. They've realized that everybody who would buy an iPhone wants an iPhone, but these people first and foremost want an iPhone or want an Apple device, which is they're loyal to Apple. But the second thing is that maybe price, or maybe specs before price, or maybe durability before spec. There are so many sub factors that come in, but Apple has realized that these people want an Apple device but probably can't pay for it. So in order to open the scope of their markets, they try to bring a mid-range device. But it's a mid-range device only in the context of Apple devices. Because when it comes to the context of the entire smartphone universe, that is a premium device. Because I think the S9 is about the same price. You can get a OnePlus 6 with everything. With a case, with headphones and everything, and you will still have extra money to spend. And that's about it. So the thing is, if you want to buy the 10R, buy it. If you ask me which of the new iPhones do I think you should buy, I would say the 10R, because Apple has played it smart. They've tested the market. They know what the market. The 10R is a callback or a throwback to the 5C. Now the issue with the 5C was that it didn't feel premium, but the 10R actually does feel or look premium. We haven't gotten those devices yet. It's coming out in October 19th to be specific. So that's this month, in a few days. But here's the thing, Apple played it smart. They have been able to create a device that is as far from the 10S as it is close. Now the 10S and the 10S Max, Apple has said it is the most powerful smartphone they have made so far. And if we're only going to put it on performance, they seem to be extremely legit because the A12 Bionic chip is killing it. And if you throw on iOS 12, which has performance improvements where it works faster and it even improves performance on the older generation, you have a very solid device. Now the 10R is in a very sweet spot when it comes to the Apple ecosystem, because it is, when I say it's as close to the 10S as it is far, is in the sense that where it matters, it is pretty much a 10S. Because let's be honest, the average consumer does not take into consideration the entire scope of specs. Sometimes the physical form factor is what sways a person. So the 10R and the 10S look pretty much identical. The only difference is that the 10R comes with more colors. Now, the only other difference is that the 10R has one camera while the 10S has the dual camera system. Now, these are things that you can overlook because for all what is worth, the 10R is a 10S. Same A12 Bionic chip, pretty much the same cameras in terms of the main or primary camera, and same form factor, same Face ID. Now, the difference is that make Apple able to charge more premium value for the 10S and the 10S Max as compared to the 10R, comes in the form of the fact that the 10R is aluminum and glass, whilst the 10S is stainless steel and glass. Then the dual camera setup, and then something as little as the fact that the 10R does not have 3D touch but has something they call haptic touch. Now here's the thing, can you truly quantify what the difference between haptic touch and 3D touch would be? Will it affect your usage of the device that much? I mean, I feel like to sacrifice $250 to get something that's very close to 3D touch, it seems like a bargain. It seems pretty fine. And if you take into consideration the battery size of the 10R and the display, which is a big deal, because right now having a $750 phone that cannot display true 1080p is atrocious, I'm not gonna lie. But if you think about the fact that it's running the same A12 Bionic chip, bigger battery size than the 10X, but with less pixels per inch to work with, you realize that it's a much more efficient device. So this could actually be the iPhone for power users who are thinking about something that is not going to break the bank. So in the context of the Apple ecosystem, the 10R is an amazing phone. But if you take it in context of the entire market of smartphones, it's not a great deal. Moving on, in Ghana, now if you're watching this video and you are not Ghanaian or not even African, the interesting thing in Ghana is that in purchasing, there are a lot of people who use Apple devices in Ghana. You'd be surprised. You'd be I have so many friends who use iPhones, and many of them use the iPhone 10. Very surprising. You may find that surprising, but it's a normal thing here. Now the interesting thing is that when you're purchasing a phone in Ghana, you take the entire sum, or I mean the entire cost of the device, and you pay it at once. There are no plans, there are no carrier plans, there are no deals. You are paying the entire price at a go. You are paying for it at one time. You are not here to pay in installments. It doesn't work like that here. And you don't get Apple Care. So having an iPhone is an increasingly more expensive thing to have here. Now the current prices for the new 10S series, the 10S and the 10S Max that I've seen, is ranging between 7,000 Ghana cedis to 10,000 Ghana cedis for the highest end 10S Max. And that's very interesting. That's 10,000. I mean, I'll put the conversion rate right here somewhere. That's a lot of money. The questions I have with regard to that is that when we are purchasing a phone, many people, or I feel like many people, just want to change phones just because. We need to think about what value we are going to be able to obtain from the phone. So why are you buying a new device? These are questions you should ask yourself. Is your old device that old? Is it not as efficient as it needs to be for your lifestyle? Is it not fitting in the scope of what you do? These are questions we should ask ourselves before buying a new device. Because I have a question to ask you, new iPhone users in Ghana, those who are going to buy the 10S. Question is simple. Which feature a unique feature solely on the iPhone can you use to recoup your 10,000 Ghana cedis back again? Which feature on this new 10S Max 512 gigabytes that you may decide to buy that is going to cost you 10,000 Ghana cedis? What feature on it that is unique to only Apple that is going to make you make 10,000 Ghana cedis again? So far I've been thinking about it and nothing comes to mind. A friend of mine was like, maybe you answer a call that will hit him that money, but that's the thing, you can get any phone. Like the basic thing a phone is supposed to do is answer a phone call. So I don't know. All in all, there's a lot of arguments. If those who are going to buy these devices are going to buy it, so I mean, I cannot begrudge them. But the main thing I'm going to say is that if you as an Apple user, your answer when an Android user comes at you telling you that your devices are too expensive, they are atrocious, they shouldn't cost that much and everything, if your response to that person is that Apple doesn't care, it's a problem. It's a very big problem. Apple should care. Apple should care about its customers. And if the company you love so much does not care about its own customers, that it keeps just throwing things out there and knows that these people will do whatever it takes to buy our devices because they love our devices, if your company is taking advantage of your loyalty, then that's a problem. So even though they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, I personally, I'm just gonna go for this doctor's appointment because yeah, this ain't it. So if you have thoughts about what I said, if you didn't like it, you know what to do. Just jump in the comment section, let's have fun and let's break it down. is Apple really doing the right thing, or is Apple doing the wrong thing? Why do you think whichever thing you think? And I feel like Apple should answer to the customers sometimes. At least Apple should try to answer them. I mean, maybe they are trying to answer to the customers with the 10R, but maybe it's not an answer we want right now. We need a more drastic answer. Catch you guys in the next one. I will be doing a Pixel video. Pixel 3 is coming out with all this hullabaloo, so I'll catch you guys in the next one.